Hello and welcome to the 2D podcast. If you want to see why Ianna is in tears, stay tuned till the end of the podcast. But in all seriousness, in this podcast of the 2D podcast, we're going to be talking about tuning into you on why it's so important to be self-aware, to actually live the life that you've been wanting to live, so that you don't get frustrated and bogged down from the everyday stuff that just happens.
Exactly. Stay tuned so that you can tune into yourself and even better understand how to develop your confidence and decision making and everything. Like, level yourself up through this podcast.
Yeah, gain confidence, gain that empowerment, make decisions that make sense to you. We'll explain why you should be doing all that, and more importantly, until the very end, how you can be doing all that.
Yes. So tune in.
Let's go. Hello and welcome to the 2D podcast. I am your host, Adonis Pereira, and I am joined as always by the lovely and sensational Ianna Giselle Backlit Alhambra.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing today, Ianna?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing pretty well. We're finally doing our podcast on the weekend instead of during the week.
And at a decent hour, too.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yes.
What's it called? So how's your week been? How's your day been? How have you been?
My week has gone well. My day is phenomenal. I'm really glad that we had this time to just like be back to normal, like not sick, not on the road, like back at home, and like had some downtime. Yeah. Like we were able to watch a couple movies this weekend. We were able to like be at our own pace. And I really liked that. And then this week has gone really well. Like work-wise, it's pretty busy, of course, getting back in the swing of things. But I'm just glad to make progress again. Yeah. But what about you? How are you?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, those movies that we watched were really good. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's nothing like being like at home, you know? Yeah. I love going down to Virginia Beach.
Yeah, me too.
And it's really soothing, really calm.
And you're like away from this area.
Exactly.
Like the norm.
Exactly. So I definitely enjoy being down there. You know, windows. I mean, the breeze and everything is just magnificent when you're down there.
And the air.
It's crisp. It's nice.
I love it.
Yeah. And but yeah, I love being back home. There's nothing like waking up in your own bed and just feeling so good about this is my territory. Yes. I don't have to be too cautious about anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah. And actually talking about really good movies, we're going to rate the date on this movie that me and Ianna saw on Apple TV. We decided to give it a shot because, you know, we're normally watching movies and shows on Netflix like Seinfeld or any other random movie. Yeah. But man, the movie that we really enjoyed and we've never heard about before is a movie called Cha-Cha Real Smooth.
Yes, and I'm so glad. I'm actually really surprised that it wasn't really like, there wasn't a lot of media on it because Leslie Mann was in it. The girl from 50 Shades of Grey was in it.
Oh, nice.
Like there was actually like people that like are well known that are in it.
Yeah.
And I'm just surprised that like it didn't get like that many reviews or anything like that, you know?
I think it's mainly because of like we said, you know, we never really hear about those movies that are on Apple TV.
Yes.
We normally hear about the ones that are on Netflix, mainly because they go mainstream because everyone is subscribed to Netflix.
Yes.
But with Apple TV, not too many people have it. But
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. And I mean, it was so good. So to set the scene here, it's about this younger guy, younger 20s. We see him as a child in the beginning where he falls in love with this girl that's a party host.
And she's older.
She's older.
Like he's 12, put around that age. Yeah. And she's like early 20s.
If anything, late teens.
Yeah.
And he wanted to go and, express his feelings. His mom tried to talk him out of it, but he was insistent. So he went for it. And of course, she said, no.
Shut him down.
Yeah, which I'm really glad because
that would have been a whole different movie.
Especially because we never heard of it. So we didn't know where it was going to go.
Yeah.
But man, it was just, if you love rom-coms, you're going to love this movie because it's just so heartwarming and it's so engaging and interesting because it's unlike a lot of rom-coms out there.
It's not like that typical cheesiness.
Yeah.
And it is set in like this day and age that's changing and more inclusive and everything like that. Like, they were really focused on, like he was a party host for bat mitzvahs. And like, that was pretty dope because like when we were growing up, it was all about like Christmas and like other things. Yeah. So like seeing like even the Adam Sandler movie of like, you're not invited to my bat mitzvah or something like that.
Yeah.
Or I uninvite you to my bat mitzvah. That's on Netflix. But I was just like, oh, this is dope. Like another Jewish movie. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Good.
But no. And then I love it because, a lot of modern rom-coms, they try to include too much tech because it's modern.
Way too much.
Like FaceTime and texting, they make you see the text message bubbles on the screen.
Yeah, and I just noticed that too.
And I'm like, bro, that's no. It's like you're taking out the moviness. Yes. When we watch a movie, we want to be engaged. We don't want to be reminded of the real world. Right. And I mean, but anyways, this movie does it so well. There's a couple familiar actors. Everybody loves Raymond's brother.
Oh yeah, he is in it.
Yeah, and then I forget what the mom's
Leslie Mann.
Oh, that's her.
Yes.
Oh, that's so funny because we saw two of her movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she's not one of the main characters, but she's the mom of the main character. She's
definitely in there. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just so good. So give it a shot. I mean, what would you rate that movie?
I rate the movie. I actually liked it a lot more than I was anticipating because for some reason I was not with it. And I was like, what the heck is Cha-Cha Real Smooth? Like, what does this mean? Like, how cheesy is this? Like another dance movie? Yeah. It really wasn't. Like,
not at all.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. So, I would rate it a good, like, honestly, an 8 pushing 9. Yeah. Like, 8.9.
Yeah, I'd say 9.
Yeah, exactly. Because of all of the components that were not in your typical movie. Yeah. And I like how real it was.
Dude, it was,
it was so real.
Yeah.
And like, even during the movie, you were able to touch on how socially adept he was, how like his awareness, his able to pick up these cues, his ability to even make an autistic girl not feel like she's being talked to like a child.
Yeah, I love that.
That was like a strong point. And I was like, wow, no wonder he's able to like just finesse life.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's just a really dope movie. So like, we highly recommend you watch it for all our Apple TV friends. Or if not, shoot, it might even encourage you to get Apple TV.
Not trying to encourage you to pay for another streaming service, but it was that good. And I'm sure they have a free trial. But for those of you that already have it, it's a must watch.
Yes.
1,000%. It's a must watch.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes our segment of Rate the Date. But on to a much more, I wouldn't say heavier topic, but much more serious topic. Me and Ianna. And
our deeper topic.
Our deeper topic. one of the things that we strive for on the podcast is to be transparent, mainly because we know that helps many of you understand the challenges and how to actually go through them, rather than just giving you like a 5-step plan when we don't really share how, if we even made those 5 steps to get out of a dilemma.
Right.
But it's
do you want me to go first?
Yeah, please.
So touching on last week's podcast, I mentioned that I was going to start with my spiritual growth again, because I wanted to reconnect, and I still want to reconnect with God and hear God's voice and be in his presence again. Yeah. That was like my main thing that I wanted to touch on and focus on. And Thursday rolled around, and all week I hadn't put in that time to sit down and pray and meditate. And I was just going through the motions, and I was like, okay, I'm getting really lost in the sauce right now. So after Adonis' soccer game, I came home. It's probably about like 10:30. And I was like, perfect. I'm exhausted right now, but I said I wanted to do this. And before the weekend gets here, this is my time where I can finally sit my butt down before bed in the quiet of night to really connect with my higher self, with God's direction. So, I mean, I guess I didn't know I was going to share this with you guys, but I will go further into it.
Yeah.
I kneeled down in front of my bed, and I just started speaking, just talking to God out loud, because no one was in like the next room over or anything. I didn't have to feel insecure about saying it out loud. So I was comfortable enough to say it out loud. And I was just praising God and being so grateful that even if I'm going through it, I know I'm not alone. And even if I'm going through the struggle, for who knows what the struggle is, but even though I was going through it, I was just so grateful, and I was like praising God and like knowing that he is almighty. He is all powerful and all knowing. And even if I don't know where he's leading me, I'm grateful to be led by him. And me saying all of that out loud, I immediately felt God's presence again. And I was like,
nice.
Yes, like the sigh of relief of feeling God's presence again, because I haven't felt it in that long.
Yeah.
It made me be quiet after I was able to speak and just praise God. And so I was like, I'm just going to take in this moment.
Yeah.
So going from prayer straight into meditation, I was just like, okay, whatever you want, whatever your will is, I am open. My mind is open. My heart's open. My hands are open. Like, I'm not distracted by any craziness. I'm here.
Yeah.
And I was just able to like soak in that moment. I was able to open up my Bible and read. So that's just like a portion of like my Thursday night.
Yeah.
And then I ended up, I think I mentioned like doing like the shadow work and everything. And because I don't really know too much about shadow work, moving forward, I'm just going to say self-awareness work.
What is the shadow work? What does that mean?
Shadow work. So I heard that from a different YouTuber, and she was like, if you feel lost right now, and you want to reconnect with yourself.
Yeah.
There are prompts basically on Pinterest. Mm-hmm. If you type up like 14-day shadow work or something like that, that is you fully being aware of whatever fears, whatever doubts, whatever worries that is like festering inside of you. Like if you really have no idea where to start and you know you're going through it, but you want to move forward.
Gotcha.
That is the work that you have to do to let go of your past, figure out what it is that's holding you back from your past to move forward.
Right.
And because shadow work, like the word shadow work, I don't know why, but it like rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
So I was like, that like seems like dark and scary.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I was like, no. Like, because I'm in God's presence right now, I will look up the prompts, but I am not strictly working on this journal prompt because I don't even know who made this. I don't know like where it's coming from or what.
Yeah.
So I still was in God's presence. I still had my Bible open and I was like, okay, the very first prompt was write about your fears, doubts, or worries that's concerning you right now. And I was like, okay, I opened my Bible and I said to myself, whatever emotion comes up from reading the passage of the page that I'm opening, I will journal about it and I will reflect on it. And I don't remember which Bible verse it was, but it was something, it wasn't a scary one. It wasn't anything crazy. It really was just talking about how God's will is, how do I say this? How God specifically chose you and he has a perfect plan for you, but you have to let go and be ready for it. Right, and I was like, thank you. There's hope. But the immediate fear that came up was, am I ready for what God has for me? And part of my daily mantra, which I have not been saying daily, is my obedience is tied to others' deliverance. And along the lines of like, I am who God says I am, and like, because I need to do what God tells me to do and things like that. And I was like, why does that scare me? Like, it's as if I'm scared for the future. It's like as if I don't want the future because I don't know the unexpected. And all that to say, I'm glad I journaled about it. And I'm glad, even if I don't know what God has in store for me, I am still being obedient and still following what God has planned for me and like his will. And knowing that I asked and he showed up is so powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because I felt so lost. So feeling that hope and feeling that guidance and presence when you need it the most after asking for it is the cherry on top. And all that to say, come Saturday, something didn't click. Something wasn't right. I knew I was excited to see my family. I knew I was excited to decorate pumpkins and like just be in the presence of my family again because we had such a great week like previously. And I was so caught up on looking ahead and getting lost in the moment that I didn't take accountability or responsibility of getting in tune with myself.
Yeah.
And it's just so crazy because after that prayer, Thursday night and how much work I put into the 8 dimensions of wellness and my coaching and figuring myself out and everything like that, that I literally mapped out. Because I've been holding that in my head for like months, if not years. And I finally got it down on the iPad. It was just like, okay, what was the disconnect from Thursday night to Friday to Saturday? Because Saturday, when it rolled around, I was going through the motions, and then about 3:30 is when I was getting triggered. And I was feeding into my insecurities, my triggers, my fears, and I was just allowing myself to get consumed by it. Yeah. And I was aware of it, but I was like, how do I get out of this? I don't know how to get out of this. And I was getting into freak mode for a second.
And I think you were getting into dependency too.
Yes.
Because when you get like that, when you get lost, and then you start to feel like, okay, my boyfriend has to show up now then.
Yeah.
I
need
parents,
someone to save
my sister,
me. Yes.
Anybody to show up for me. And when they don't show up, that other person doesn't know what you're going through, because it's all internal.
Yes.
There's no signs that, it's not like you got beat up or you fell down. There's no physical sign on you.
There's no reason why I should feel unsafe. And from past conversations with like my therapist and everything like that, it's like, I know how to process emotions.
Yeah.
I understand how to tap on my heart and do the EMDR work and do all these things. But in that moment, the fact that I didn't allow myself to process what was going on or give myself that moment of like, okay, I'm frustrated, but what can I do that's proactive? And how can I act like an adult here? Yeah. How can I be the adult that I am?
Yeah.
How can I maturely move forward? Because if you haven't realized yet, I did not handle myself maturely. I did not handle myself with grace. I did not handle myself with love.
Right.
And openness. I was already in that state of like turmoil, in the sense of something is wrong. I don't know what's wrong. I'm already frustrated. I'm done. I'm blowing up now.
Yeah. So let me set the scene here. So Saturday rolls around, right? And Ianna previously asked me, hey, do you want to come and pumpkin decorate with me at around whatever time? Like after
say like 12:30, 1:30.
Yeah, after that time, anytime after that time. And I was like, oh, okay. The day before, I was like, yeah, I'll probably be there at 1:30 at the latest. Okay. And then, Saturday rolls around, the very next day. And I noticed that it was raining outside because I was going to work out as soon as I woke up, brush my teeth and then get out. Maybe have a cup of coffee. But because it was raining already, I was like, shoot, I was going to do some soccer work. Because I'm already getting so much better now. My confidence is shot up. And we could talk about that another podcast day on how I got it there. Yeah. It literally seems like it was out of nothing. But anyways, because I want to keep up with that confidence, with my endurance, my stamina, and my skill level.
Yeah.
Because now that I have the confidence, I have the ability now to execute everything that I have in my head. Like I said, it was raining. So I was like, you know what? Instead of going on social media, as soon as I saw that it was raining outside, I went to go brush my teeth. And instead of picking up my phone and being on Instagram, scrolling away, I was like, no, Adonis, when you're at work, you crave this time for yourself. You crave this time to either read. You crave this time to either work on the podcast. You crave this time to work on yourself. So don't waste it. Yeah. Don't just go randomly just watching your favorite shows. Like there will be a time to do that. But right now you're fresh. Right now you have all the energy in the world, all the concentration in the world.
Yes.
So use it. So I'm like, okay, bet. I started working on the YouTube thumbnail for our podcast.
Yes.
For those of you that do go on YouTube and watch our podcast there, you'll notice that there was way more effort put into the presentation of the podcast thumbnail. Before, I would just let the YouTube thing just
generate one.
Yes, select the frame from the whole video and just put it as the thumbnail.
Right.
But this time I'm like, no, I need to package this well because no one's going to click on it if it doesn't look appealing.
Right.
Right. So I got to put effort even when I think I'm done with the whole podcast process. And so, that took a lot of time because I've never really put that time before that much into a YouTube thumbnail. I make soccer videos too of my team, but that's easy. I just use Canva. But this time I'm like, no, I want to learn Photoshop because I'm paying for it. So that took a learning curve, right? It took a lot of frustration because it was all almost new to me.
Yeah.
And then after that, I started, after I was done with that, I was like, bet. I started posting it on my Instagram reel. On my Instagram story, on the Too Deep story. Then I started learning more about how to package it and all that. And then by that time that I was all done with that, it was probably 12:30.
Right.
And this is when I noticed that it was sunny out.
It was really sunny out at that time.
I was not expecting it.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, it's 12:30. I know I told Ianna 1:30 latest. And this is when I started tuning into me and said it because I never really do that. I stick to my word and I'm there when I say I'm there.
Right.
But I was also struggling before this weekend to work out at least one time during the weekend. And what I didn't want to do is go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and quite possibly Monday without working out. Because once you don't work out for 3 days in a row, it's so hard to get back on.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I didn't work out Friday because I was recovering from the game on Thursday night. And Saturday and Sunday, I usually don't work out because I'm with Ianna and, doing whatever. But this time, I'm not going to let this opportunity pass. I am going to go out and do my workout. And so then I texted Ianna, like, hey, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go run. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to do the drills to get, back more in shape. And then I text her again when I come back at around 2. Right?
You texted at 2:30.
2:30. 2:30. And I was like, hey, I'm just going to shower and get my stuff together. Mind you, before I went to go work out, I made sure I packed the podcast stuff so we could do this. And so after I come back, all I had to do was shower and only get my clothes ready for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was getting blown. I was almost getting heated because I had to make sure everything was set. And I was
can't forget anything.
Can't forget anything. And it's all heavy and I'm getting hungry. So I'm getting hangry.
You didn't eat at all.
At all. I literally just had a cup of coffee.
Right.
And so then I'm like, it was around like 3 that I texted Ianna, hey, I'm on my way, but I need to eat and I need to decompress because I just did a lot without eating. And then I'm already thinking negative thoughts because I'm thinking, oh man, Ianna's not here to help, blah, 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 blah.
Mind you, we also have my nephew's football game that starts at 4:30.
Exactly. And when I go, I always videotape it.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit, I love doing it. Don't get me wrong. I love doing it because I love being there to support
right.
Little man and then have the video form, but it's still a little bit of work.
It is.
You know, it's still not, it's not just like going there just to watch.
It's not like us bringing our cell phone and recording. He really brings this camera that you're watching us from and puts quality into the work.
Yeah.
And puts the pieces of the video, like there's work that goes into it. It's not just clicking a button.
Exactly. Like that one time he was like, when this game just got done, I stopped recording and he was like, is the video ready? I was like,
he texted and I was like, oh buddy, like you just don't know. But I love that he doesn't know. He's just able to watch and absorb what his craft of playing football.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
And so then, I had to get ready for that. I had to eat.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go over to Ianna's. If it was just her, I could have done it. And then I would have eaten there. But she was with her family. So I didn't want them to like have me come in with this mood for no reason.
Right.
When they were already having a good time. So I'm like, you know what? Let me save everyone from that awkwardness. Let me just pick up some fast food, eat it in my car.
And that takes just the fact that you can even have so much self-awareness to know how you impact a room when you walk into it is not everyone does that. So I'm grateful that you take all of this into consideration because yes, you are an introvert and you're so self-aware about that.
Yeah.
Like situation awareness.
Exactly. and just like the title of this podcast suggests, I'm in tune with myself.
Yes.
One of the reasons I'm bringing this up is because once you're in tune with yourself, you make decisions quicker, more effectively, and decisions that are wiser.
Yes.
Because when you're not in tune with yourself, you're always slow to think of what to do next. You're always dependent on others on what you should be doing for yourself next. And so, so then I stop, I eat my food. I made a mistake by not telling Ianna when I finally got the food. Like, I just automatically assumed that she would know what time I got to the line, and what time I started eating. So she's getting a little more pressed because she was pretty much basing her time and what to do based off of when I would get there. Like if she knew that I wasn't going to show up until whatever time, she would have done this, that, and the third for herself. She would have at least thought to do this, that, and the third for herself.
Yes. Like knowing, in the sense of, yes, I'm with my family and yes, we're like decorating pumpkins and doing all these things, but like getting ready for the game. Like, what are we wearing? What are we like? Do I have time to put makeup on and do all these things? Or like, do I need to get my bag ready? Like, is he going to be here so I can do all of that stuff? Or do I need to be ready to just jump in the car?
Right.
Or what is happening,
Yeah. So I made the mistake of not letting her know when. And if I knew that I was going to be doing all of this, I would have told her right from the morning that, hey, I'm not going to show up at your house until pretty much till the time it's ready to go at 4 because this game is at 4:30.
Yeah.
And it takes us 30 minutes just to get there. But because these things didn't happen, because I was in tune with myself, but I also have to be aware of communicating that. So Ianna could have been in tune with herself too, rather than thinking about me and where I'm at. And because of that, of course, we got in an argument.
Yeah, like I also didn't communicate like, so side note, part of being self-aware, I know I ask a ton of questions, like rapid fire questions, and not even allow the person to even process the first 2 questions before I rattle off 8 and 10.
Yeah.
Like it's that serious. Yeah. And because because it's brought to my attention and I am aware of this, I really was intentional on Saturday to let him have his Saturday and not bombard him with questions.
Yeah.
But that took so much restraint when I already knew something was off with me and I didn't know how to communicate it.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, just let him do his thing and don't ask too many questions. And if I'm going to ask a question, it needs to be the right question that I actually need the answer to. At that point on Saturday, I didn't even process what question I needed because there were too many questions already popping up in my head.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, like, just, it's done.
Yeah. And because we were arguing, of course, we were late to the game. And I was so hurt when I got there. You know, we still catched, the second quarter onward?
Right. We got 75% of the game.
Yeah.
But of course, in the first 25% of the game, the first quarter, he runs a 60-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
Like, boy, you're like 12.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm so proud of him because he's already been playing for so long, even though he's only 12. And like, that's dope.
That's so dope.
I hope he does it again.
Oh, no, he will. Yes. He will. He'll be like, hey, you better do it because I have my camera right now.
Right.
And yeah, he's skilled. He's talented. So he's definitely going to do it again.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so we get in a whole argument. We get there late. Should have been there on time. And it's because we started being off tune. We started just going off on each other. Like we literally wanted each other to have our expectations met.
Yes.
And that's not the way to do things.
Yes. So the main point here is to be in tune with yourself, but so in tune with yourself that you're able to communicate clearly what your expectation is from the other person.
Yeah.
And communication is key, but knowing yourself enough to be able to communicate is even more crucial, especially when you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I am so sorry to have failed at that point. Because I am aware of myself. You are aware of yourself.
Yeah.
I did not have that level of emotional intelligence to be able to communicate what I needed in that moment. And honestly, even after we had the argument and we cleared the air and we understood the lessons, to this day, I still don't know what the disconnect is, but I'm so grateful that you already clarified for me that even if I don't know what the problem is, I still need to communicate that there's a problem.
Exactly.
That is the least I am allowed and responsible to do.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm in a relationship.
Exactly.
Because I respect you so much in this relationship where I understand you are not a mind reader.
Exactly.
And it's my job is to communicate like, hey, something's going on. I don't know what it is, but I love you. I respect you. Can you please help me? If you cannot, then I need space to figure this out.
Yeah. Because as Ianna, she is someone that is always looking to meet others' expectations, that she forgets her own, that she doesn't think about becoming in tune with herself. So when things bottle up inside of her, it bottles up. And there's like all emotions, rage, sadness, anxiety, they all fester. And the longer she puts it off, the more it's going to explode and unload on me or anyone that she cares about at the worst possible time.
And for me, just like everything that he just said, they mold together to the point where I don't know which emotion I'm feeling because now I'm freaking pissed and frustrated because I'm not understanding myself.
Exactly.
Like that's where it ends up pushing to the point of explosion because I'm frustrated with myself at that point.
Yeah. So the purpose of tuning into yourself is to have emotional intelligence to raise that, to make quicker and better decisions. Because once you're in tune with yourself, you know, okay, I am feeling like this, that, and the third. So even though I'm having fun with my family, I know this part of me is like unhappy. So let me tell them, hey, let me take 30 minutes. I'll be back and do what it is that I need to take care of. And then it's just when you are in tune with yourself and you make decisions based off what you need, of what you want, your confidence skyrockets. You become empowered because you are no longer relying on others to tell you what they think that you should be doing, on what they think your goals should be. You're actually doing what you know you should be doing. You're actually making the moves that are getting you closer to your own goals, not the goals that other people have for you, but for the goals that you envision, the goals that you want to achieve. And I want to, now that we're so deep into the podcast now, I want to give you practical tips. But okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Sorry. Before the practical tips, I do want to touch on this because this is part of where so much of my passion comes from.
Yeah.
So I've mentioned the 8 dimensions of wellness before. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So I've mentioned the 8 dimensions of wellness before. And just like I told you on Thursday, or in the last podcast, I'm starting with my spiritual development. I'm starting with my spiritual wellness. And because I was able to start with being led by God and getting in tune with what God's will is, the next component of that is me as a person. Yeah. So there's 8 dimensions of wellness. If you look at like a rectangle, the top side of that rectangle is going to be your spiritual development. And then the way that I set it up is the bottom one. So think of you as the rectangle. The bottom one is going to be your emotion, because you're a spiritual being first, and then you are emotion. And I love that it just like flew into each other.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then the next side is going to be your intellectual wellness. And then the right side or whatever is going to be your physical wellness. And I made those the sides of the rectangle because that essentially is me, like my well-being. Mm-hmm. And then the corners are going to be the other 4 wellness components. So financial, social, environmental, and vocational. Those are all outside of my being, but still connected to my well-being, you know?
Yeah.
So I hope you're following me. If not, I'm going to send Adonis a picture. And basically, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because moving forward, I am going to start making content about these dimensions of wellness. So when you do feel like you're getting lost in the sauce of life, you're able to figure out which dimension of wellness you need to connect with again. And so I'm really genuinely grateful that I'm able to start with my spiritual development and then go into my emotional intelligence. And then just earlier today, like I told you guys, I did the pumpkin decorating. That is part of intellectual development or intellectual wellness, because you are creating something.
Exactly.
And then I'll go into the physical and everything. Nice. But I just wanted to like mention that in this podcast so that you guys are aware of like what we're actually working on and working towards.
Perfect. Beautiful. Yeah. So I'll quickly get into these steps on how to practically do it. And then either next podcast or in some future podcasts, we could really dive deep into these.
Yeah.
But just so you guys have a foundation on how to start becoming more in tune with yourself. The very first one is to practice self-awareness. You need to start in moments when you feel any type of emotion, when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling frustrated or angry, when you're feeling happy and joyful. You really have to take the time and consider, I'm feeling this way. What triggered that? What made me feel like that? What got me from feeling calm and peaceful to feeling like this or like that? You really need to understand that. You really have to be in tune with that. Because once you do, you could either avoid those situations, you could either find a workaround, or if it's a positive emotion, you could dive more into that.
Mm-hmm.
If painting, like Ianna was painting pumpkins, listening to fall lo-fi music,
Mm-hmm.
it made her feel at peace. It made her feel calm. And so she really went into it today and made a Sunday evening out of it.
Mm-hmm.
She stepped into it because she was more in tune with that. And
Yes.
her now her weekend overall feels so much more satisfying.
Yes.
And what's it called? So you have to become aware and you have to be present in those moments. And that way you can make better decisions. Now you can make the decision, hey, I've had a terrible day. It's very stressful. I pulled through, but I'm drained. So what brings me peace? Well, how can I end off the day in a positive note so I'm recharged and ready to go tomorrow?
Tap into it
Exactly.
and tune into it.
Exactly.
Yes.
The second step, and this ties in with the first,
Mm-hmm.
Once you become aware of those emotions,
yes.
you need to take the time to analyze them. And there's no better way to really analyze and understand your emotions in those moments, those triggers, than writing them down.
Yes.
Either write them down or do the mini TED Talks that Ianna does, which is just private videos. Put the phone up, pour your heart out, and never send it to anyone. There's an option to hide in iPhone to hide a photo or videos. So know that even if someone gets into your phone, they'll still need to find it.
Yes, exactly. And to touch on that too, because writing down is such a crucial component in processing, even if you are doing the video, I highly encourage you, even if it's like days or weeks or months after it has popped into your head, please write it down. Because
Definitely.
the fact of you taking the physical pen and putting it onto paper, not just an iPad or anything like that, is what fully allows you to process and consume, like fully develop that processed thought.
Yeah, to analyze it and break it down.
By writing it down. Because I think there's something, I'm going to double check what I'm trying to say, but there's a crucial component in writing things down.
Yeah. And I mean, and if anything else, it allows you to breathe. It lets your brain and your heart breathe because now you're releasing it. You're getting it out. So even though you might think of it from time to time, it won't be that heavy burden that's still weighing on you. Instead, all the weight is going to be transferred onto that sheet of paper so that you can now actually step back and look at it and see it from afar rather than being bogged down and fogged up by it where you're not thinking and seeing clearly.
Yes. And another component of it too, just to really nail down this point for you guys, is the brain is for processing. Your body is the storage. If you do not want to store any of that negative, if you want to process these emotions and everything like that and get it out of your body, write it down.
Exactly.
Work it out by working out. Like, do these things to release, because the more that you think and get bogged down and feel the weight, it's because it's not being released through your body. Exactly. That's why creation is so crucial to life, and releasing, like, whatever positive way you want to release it, please allow your body to not take on that burden of carrying your stored emotions and thoughts and feelings.
Beautiful. Exactly. Spot on. Spot on, my friend.
Pew.
Bing, bing. And then the very last tip to be in tune with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to seem very contradictory to everything we just said, but it's to seek feedback. From who? From those you can absolutely trust. So from those people that you know want the best for you.
Yes.
That aren't looking to gain anything from you. Mm-hmm. Seek feedback from them, because you will gain valuable insight and perspective from multiple people. Sometimes you might, watch this random video and say, oh, integrity. Like, I really need integrity.
Yes.
Even though you could be the most integral person. Mm-hmm. Like Ianna, she told me that, like, I think I need more integrity. And because, this person said that integrity leads to this and that and the third. And I agree. But Ianna has that down packed. There's not anyone else in the world that I could possibly, even if I didn't know her that well, that I could possibly trust with valuable information, with private information. So I'm so grateful that she talked to me about that, because instead of going down a loophole for maybe a day or a few days or a few weeks, with spending something that she's really strong in, wasting her time, she can now spend that time with one of her real weaknesses, so that she can improve on that, with one of her real challenges, so she can work on that, rather than just because she heard that this is part of what she needs to fix when it has nothing to do with her.
Right. Like, to further explain it, like, I was about to go down the rabbit hole of integrity, but then I remembered that both my coach and my therapist said I'm lacking confidence within myself. Yeah. And it's so crazy, because a lot of people can look at me and think like, oh, she is very confident and like walks with integrity and everything like that. But my view on myself, I am lacking that confidence component. So I can work on the confidence component instead of integrity. Even though, yes, people will say that they are hand in hand. But to continue to build on my confidence is continuing to show up for myself. Yeah.
And for that instance, it's like you don't treat the side effects, you treat the sickness.
Yes, the root.
The root. Yeah, it would feel nice to get rid of one of the side effects, but it's much more important to get to the root of it.
Yes.
To fix that, because then all the side effects now fall into place. They all go away.
Yes, I think I mentioned it last week of the, if you want to look at the fix the fruit, go to the root, or something like that. Mm-hmm.
Get the fruit, fix the root. Fruit, root, boot, chew. Okay. But that's going to do it for the meat and potatoes of the podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We really do hope that we've inspired, moved, or just gave some valuable information to at least one person. And if you're that one person, please reach out, give us a review, rate us, please. That helps so much. You guys don't understand how valuable those ratings are.
Yes, please. And by the time this podcast episode comes out, our Facebook group will be up for a full week. So if you haven't found it yet, it is TOODEEPPODCAST Facebook group. The admins are myself and Adonis. It is a private group. So when you request to be part of the group, for the respect of our members, we kept it private, and there are a few rules on there. So just make sure you click through all of them and fully understand what they encompass, so that you can fully participate in this Facebook group. Because just like what I touched on with the whole rectangle thing, if you don't understand it, join the group. I will have a worksheet on the actual rectangle that I'm talking about, so that you can actually fill it out for yourself and just do a quick check-in with yourself of where am I spiritually, where am I socially, and all that stuff, and take this journey with me and with us. I'm not perfect. Adonis is not perfect, but we're definitely working towards being our fullest self. Yeah. We are whole people, but we can definitely put forth way more than we are doing.
Exactly. And we created this Facebook group because we want to make a space where you guys can contribute, where we can contribute to you and where you can contribute to each other, where you could ask us the questions that we could put on the podcast or to just answer directly.
Right.
It'll take a little bit of work to get up and running, but once we get into the groove of things, that's where we're going to be posting private videos. Yes. We're going to be posting tips for the day, and where you can ask us questions. We'll have Q&As on there.
My tiny talks will most likely show up on there. My daily check-ins or weekly check-ins or something will be on there.
Exactly.
More feedback. And even, so this is Too Deep podcast, but we do get deeper in the Facebook group.
Exactly. That's where we're able to engage with you guys. And don't be discouraged. Because we are new, because we just burst out on the scene, you'll probably be one of the first ones on there. But that'll be the advantage that we have for however long, because we'll be able to get a lot more intimate. Your questions will be answered a lot quicker.
And even if you're shy, there's an anonymous posting on there. So
nice.
It's completely fine if you ask your question on that. And everything that gets posted has to be approved by us, which is the good part.
Yeah.
So if you're questioning it or anything like that, you'll know that we're seeing it before anyone else does. So, and then we also have like our own profiles are connected to the group. So if you needed to message us individually or whatever, there's another option. So
exactly. So again, that's the Too Deep podcast on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then we also still have the 2D pod on Instagram, which is TOODEEPPOD. Again, Instagram, and you can find us there too. Adonis Barrera, Ianna
Giselle.
Yeah, and then that's where you can find our YouTube page on Adonis Barrera, and then there will be a playlist for the 2D podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that does it for the housekeeping.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Far too kind.
Far too kind. And before we end the podcast, I would love to shout out Ianna Giselle. Happy birthday. Because by this time, her birthday would have already passed. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I love you so much. Thank you so much for being.
I love you so much too.
Thank you so much.
You're going to make me cry. I was not ready for that.
Sorry.
Wow.
Thank you so much for being part of this journey. Thank you so much. I really can't imagine doing this with anybody else.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. I love you so much. And I'm so grateful for you and being part of this journey with me.
You truly are special. You truly are unique. I mean, you're the most intelligent person I've ever met. I'm so grateful to have spent these 3 years with you, and to many more.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Stay safe, everybody.
Bye.